Okay, today I am going to make my favorite rye bread. And I have to say that my favorite rye bread isn't in either book, and it doesn't have much rye in it. It's mostly a white bread, and the reason why is that the rye you get today in stores is mostly, it's a whole grain rye, and that's not what any of us grew up on. So this particular rye bread is a caraway rye. It's going to be 6 cups of all-purpose unbleached white flour, half a cup of rye flour. It's the stuff you get in the supermarket, and it's high-end brand. It's a whole grain flour. Tablespoon and a half of salt. And we were talking about Morton's kosher salt here, and we talk about how to adjust that if we're using something else. And you can always decrease the salt if you find our taste too salty. You can start with a tablespoon if you like. And then for the yeast, tablespoon and a half is what we have in the book, but you can decrease that also. You can decrease that by 1/4 of that amount if you like. It's going to take a lot longer. You mix it up the same way you do all of our breads. But before you do that, before I forget, tablespoon and a half of caraway seeds, which to me is the key. Most people think caraway is the flavor of rye, and it's not, but you need it to bring it out. I'm going to show you how to slash this bread. It tends to be a sticky dough, and it's a little bit tricky to slash, so I'm going to go ahead and shape one and slash it. Rye flour, when it's mixed with water, tends to create a sticky matrix in the dough. So I like to cut it off, or you can use a serrated knife. It's always convinced me that scissor is better, maybe. Okay, so the usual routine, you stretch a gluten cloak, bring the top around to the bottom. On 3 sides, you may need a bunch of flour because rye flours and rye dough is sticky. So as soon as you get to the point where it's a nice oval, I'm going to show you the really professional way, which is to stretch it out a little bit into an oval and make a letter fold. And that takes away some of the bulk from the ends. And as soon as you do that, you can get a very nice pointed end on the loaf. You can do it without that too. You don't have to do the letter fold. Okay, and then finish shaping. And you can see, you want to come in a little bit and shoot down on it, so you can see how pretty that is. Now I'm going to let that rest. In the first book we talked about a 40-minute rest time. If you want to go longer, you'll get a more open crumb. Even though this is mostly white, if you go 60 minutes, you might find it more open. 90 minutes, if it starts to spread sideways, you've gone too long. So get it in the oven right then. This is going to bake at 450 for 30 minutes with steam, and we talk about all the ways to do that. And now I'm going to slash it. So why don't you come in again. We don't come at a shallow, we don't do this with our breads, because we find that the slash closes back up. So we slash straight down at least 1/4 inch, maybe even farther. And again, normally I would have rested this for 40 to 60 to 90 minutes. And I'd have rested it where it belongs, on the cornmeal. You see I'm doing this one on cornmeal. You can do it on parchment paper, but I think the rye bread does particularly well on cornmeal. So, that's it. Thanks very much. Bye.